Hey, what's up and how's it going, all MRBers? I am Mike McRock from the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm about to give you my top 30 best WrestleMania matches of all time. Coming in at number 30 on the countdown is Hulk Hogan vs. Andre the Giant for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 3. And the reason why I put it at number 30 is because it's not one of the most scientific, technically gifted WrestleMania matches of all time. Of course, it's not one of those. But what it is one of those matches where you think back and say, this match is very historic. This match has a lot of historical value. It also sets the tone for future box office attractions when it comes to promoting WrestleMania. You had with WrestleMania 1 with Hulk Hogan teaming up with Mr. T to take on Rowdy Piper and Mr. Wonderful. And then you have WrestleMania 3 where you have Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant for the championship. And it's the big blockbuster first ever main event that felt like something significant at the time in the Hogan era. And like I said, this is not one of the most technically gifted scientific matches. This match really did crap the bed, but it's one of those matches where you sit back and think, this is one of those matches that really felt very important to the overall aspect of making a lot more blockbuster WrestleMania matches years to come. You know, you had that whole big body slam, Hulk Hogan lifting up Andre the Giant and then giving him the leg drop and pinning him 1, 2, 3. Yes, there was a lot of botch moments in between, but still, it's one of those matches where you go back and think, this was very historic. Moving on, at number 29 on the countdown is The Undertaker versus Kane at WrestleMania 14, their first match that they had together, and I really enjoyed this match and how they were building up Kane because it took 3 tombstones to defeat Kane, and that is how you build up a monster like Kane. You have him come in and interfere in the big Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at In Your House pay-per-view, and you have him tombstone the Undertaker, and you're establishing Kane as your next big monster, and you had Paul Bearer managing Kane, and then it came down to this match, and ultimately, to me, out of the 3 matches that both these guys had at WrestleMania, this was the best Undertaker versus Kane match at WrestleMania. Coming in at number 28 is Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, merging the WWE and Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 6. And the reason why I put it at number 28 is because, yes, it's not one of those scientific wrestling matches. This is not a wrestling clinic. But what it is one of those historical matches like the Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, where you have Hulk Hogan passing the torch to the Ultimate Warrior, giving him the rub, giving him the championship. From what I understand is that later on the night, you had the Ultimate Warrior was really crying tears of joy backstage, thanking a lot of people that he has given the torch, that Hulk Hogan gave him the torch. So I really enjoyed that really good feel moment when the Ultimate Warrior at the end defeated Hulk Hogan. And at the time, Hulk Hogan was main eventing every single WrestleMania year after year after year. And for someone to beat Hulk Hogan at a WrestleMania is significant on its own. And that's what the Ultimate Warrior did at WrestleMania 6. Coming in at number 27 on the countdown is John Cena versus Shawn Michaels for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 23. And even though you can argue that this is not one of the best Shawn Michaels WrestleMania matches, but it's John Cena's one of the best WrestleMania matches. And when you look back at John Cena's track record of every single match that he's been in at WrestleMania, it wasn't really one of the greatest WrestleMania matches on the card, because he's not one of those scientific wrestlers. He's not a technically gifted wrestler like I mentioned before on this countdown. So with that being said, this is the reason why this match comes in at number 27. And what happened at the end was that John Cena went over, and this was the right booking decision, I think, in my opinion, because this was Shawn Michaels doing the job for John Cena, and there was no really reason why Shawn Michaels at the time really needed the championship, because ultimately you had to put over John Cena for him to establish as that main event guy. To me, this is one of the first two matches John Cena had at a WrestleMania to make me believe that, okay, this guy is going to be the face of the WWE, and look where he is now. Coming in at number 26 on the countdown is Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 17, and this is one of those technically good scientific WrestleMania matches, and I can go back and watch this year after year after year and not get bored with it. And this is how good this WrestleMania match is, and I think this match deserves a lot of credit, because to me this is one of those underrated matches that really doesn't get enough credit that it should. So with that being said, I want to talk about this match to pay tribute to it, and this is why this match comes in at number 26. At number 25 on the countdown is Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 14. And this is at a time where we knew Shawn Michaels was injured, he was having back problems, etc., etc., so he had to take a lot of time off, and we really didn't know if Shawn Michaels was going to come back or not. So this was another one of those moments like the Ultimate Warrior going over Hulk Hogan, where Stone Cold Steve Austin went over Shawn Michaels. Another passing of the torch moment that felt really good, and we all knew that at the time Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to carry the company years after that. So to me, this is the reason why I wanted to put this match in the top 30, because it was one of those important matches. Even though I think the wrestling could have been a lot better in this match, it still has a place in the top 30. Coming in at number 24 on the countdown is Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 19. And even though this match botched at the end with the big shooting star onto Kurt Angle, this match was actually not half bad. It was actually a decent main event at the time for WrestleMania 19. Even though this wasn't the best match on the card, it still, to me, holds a place in the top 30. And we all knew that at the time that Kurt Angle was going to have neck surgery, and he was wrestling with a broken freaking neck during this match with Brock Lesnar. So I have to give Kurt Angle a lot of credit for really putting in the effort into showcasing his talents going after this match at WrestleMania. And Brock Lesnar, even though he botched at the end with the shooting star, he really gave it to Kurt Angle. He really held his own, and there's not a lot of people that can face Kurt Angle and get away with it when it comes to hanging with Kurt Angle, because he is one of the best wrestlers, I think, in my opinion. And if I had to put the top 10 of best wrestlers in the WWE / whatever, TNA or whatever, Kurt Angle is on the top of the list, and that is why this match, to me, holds a place in the top 30. Coming in at number 23 is number 23 is Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 8, and I thought this match was actually pretty good at the time. At the time, you had Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice that was horribly booked, but what made up for it was this match right here, Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for the championship. This match felt really good on all levels. It was great, and the wrestling itself was actually not half bad as well, so I will give it credit for Ric Flair and Randy Macho Man Savage for going out there and main eventing a really bad WrestleMania. But ultimately, this match was actually a relief to the bad booking decisions on the part of when it comes to structuring of WrestleMania 8. Coming in at number 22 on the countdown is Undertaker vs. Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 24, and to me, this was one of those matches where it felt really underrated. It doesn't get a lot of credit where credit is due, and this was one of those matches where you had it in this really rough looking kind of stadium, and they made it to look something spectacular. And this match at the end, I think, was the right match to main event WrestleMania 24. This was Undertaker's streak, and Edge at the time being the world championship, and we all knew it was still predictable that the Undertaker was going to beat Edge, but still, it was one of those really good WrestleMania matches. It was very underrated. Coming in at number 21 is CM Punk versus Chris Jericho for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 28, and I really enjoyed this match when I go back and watch it, and the way this match built up. You had Chris Jericho come back. You had all these sinister promos. On the second day of 2012, it will be the end of the world as you know it. He comes back. He trolls the audience, and he's been foreshadowing what is to become, what he's going to do at WrestleMania. He challenges CM Punk for the championship, and it gets really personal. I love the build up to it. Going into this match, Chris Jericho really giving it to CM Punk, and CM Punk playing off of it very well. Then mentioning how Punk's father was a junkie, and so was his sister, and stuff like that. And the way this match was done, it was great. The psychology was outstanding. You had Chris Jericho yelling to CM Punk, "Punk, how's your father?" And the stipulation was you had CM Punk, if he got disqualified or get counted out, he would lose the championship. And adding that stipulation was, to me, one of the slightest interesting things that happened on this match. And overall, this was a great, outstanding, and another one of those underrated match where it doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. So with that being said, this is why this holds as one of the top 30 best WrestleMania matches of all time. Coming in at number 20, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. And the reason why I put it at number 20 and not higher is because it's one of those matches, even though you could tune out the audience, it's one of those, whoa, what is this? But with that being said, it was one of those matches where, even though it was horribly booked on the show at WrestleMania 18, this match should have main evented WrestleMania 18. But instead they had Triple H versus Chris Jericho, and the fans were just dead. But with this match, the fans were completely alive. They were going back and forth with Hulk Hogan and The Rock, and you had The Rock becoming a villain in this match. And you knew going in that the fans were not going to boo Hulk Hogan. So they were going to do everything they could to make Hulk Hogan The Rock a heel, and it worked. And even though, like I said, it's not a scientific wrestling match by any stretch of the imagination, but it was one of those matches that really stands out as one of the best when it comes to the interaction from the audience and the whole historical value of having icon versus icon, era versus era, the Attitude Era versus the Hogan Era, and they collided. That, to me, was one of the greatest things that happened about this match. Coming in at number 19 is Hulk Hogan again versus Randy Savage for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 5. And this match was a year's build-up. It wasn't like when you had The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania 28, years build-up, and they really sugarcoated the hell out of it. No. This was one of those matches where you only had certain spots happen, pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view until they finally collided, and it was all around Miss Elizabeth as well. And you can kind of relate to Macho Man turning on Hulk Hogan at the time, and thus building up to this big 1 year build up to this match, and it worked. I think this match worked, and you had I do believe it was Hulk Hogan going over. I still think that Randy Savage should have won. That's the only little issue I have with this match, but still, it was one of those great feel moments where you have a year's build up to this match, and you have it the start at WrestleMania 4, and you have it end at WrestleMania 5. Coming in at number 18, Steve Austin versus The Rock for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 15. And to me, this was probably the best The Rock versus Stone Cold matches at WrestleMania. I think the worst had to be WrestleMania 17, where they decided to turn Stone Cold Steve Austin heel. And that was ridiculous. And to me, that ultimately ruined the WrestleMania 17 main event. But with this match at WrestleMania 15, the title was on the line. This was the first match between the two of them. The chemistry was there. The in-ring work was okay, but actually made a really good main event match at WrestleMania 15. It was the first time they had it, and the way it was built up, it was great. So I think, to me, like I said, this was the best of the three matches that they had. Coming in at number 17, and I'm surprised that this match wasn't higher on the list, because there's so many matches that I think deserves to be a lot higher than this. Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 3. And this was one of those show-stealing wrestling clinics at WrestleMania 3. Even though Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant was the money-making headliner, this match stole the show. Need I say more? Coming in at number 16 was The Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage in the retirement match at WrestleMania 7. And I really enjoyed this match. This was really great. This had a really good feel moment, especially at the end where you had Ultimate Warrior go over Randy Savage, and you had the sensational Sherry involved, and you had Miss Elizabeth come in and you had her take out Sherry and stuff like that, and you had Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage embracing the hug, and I admit I did choke up. It was one of those full circle moments, and everything about this match was absolutely great. This was a headliner, to say the very least. Coming in at number 15 on the countdown is Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania 20. And going into it, you had Eddie Guerrero win the championship, the pay-per-view before WrestleMania, No Way Out, defeating Brock Lesnar, and that was all well and good. And I was very worried that they were going to go for a transitional run with Eddie Guerrero and have him jump out to Kurt Angle. But no, they didn't go there. And I'm happy that they didn't go there. Because what happened was that Eddie Guerrero went over Kurt Angle in this match at WrestleMania 20. And the way it ended was great. The whole light cheating and stealing gimmick, where you had Eddie Guerrero untie his boot and Kurt Angle applied the Angle lock on him, and only to have him rip the boot right off him. And you had Eddie Guerrero roll up Kurt Angle for the pin 1, 2, 3. This was one of those great feeling moments at WrestleMania, but ultimately at the end of WrestleMania, which I will get to later on this countdown, yes, there was triumph, but then there was heartbreak, and you'll see what I mean as I get closer and closer to number 1. Coming in at number 14 is a match that I think should have been the main event for WrestleMania 24, and I'm surprised that whoever, the dumb idiot that structured this WrestleMania, put this in the middle of the card. Ridiculous. And that was Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, career-threatening match. And the entire story around this match was you had Ric Flair week after week after week defending his career, So this was going very well in terms of the story build. And you had him face Umaga and other people, and you really feared that his career was going to be on the line. He was competing in career-threatening matches where you're thinking, oh my god, is his career going to end here? And no, it doesn't. He wins. He overcomes the odds week after week after week. And then you get the big moment with this match. And to me, Shawn Michaels was the right person to end Ric Flair's streak, because he is one of those guys that steals the show at every WrestleMania. And the way this match ended, I cannot stress enough how great it was to see Shawn Michaels, even though he was given sympathy to Ric Flair. You had that moment in the end where Shawn Michaels was about to lay the sweet chin music on Ric Flair, and he said, "I'm sorry, I loved you." I admit, I actually choked up at that part of the match. I really did, and it just felt great. In the same time, there was a sadness feel to it, but still had a really good feel to it. And you had Shawn Michaels go over here, and ultimately this was one of those matches, like I said, should have main evented WrestleMania 24. The idiot whoever structured this card was an idiot, obviously. Coming in at number 13 on the countdown is Triple H versus The Undertaker in a no-holds-barred at WrestleMania 27. And to me, this was the match that really saved WrestleMania 27, because there was a lot of things at this WrestleMania that just weren't sitting right well with me at all. There were a lot of things that just really were terrible decisions on the part of WWE, but when they had this match on the card, the way it was booked, the way it was placed, it was like second to third last on the card, rightfully so, and this match delivered. Even though you can make the argument that these two were really slow, yes, you can say that. But oh my god, this match was actually brutal. They tore the house down at WrestleMania 27. And speaking of tearing the house down, coming in at number 12 was the hardcore match at WrestleMania 22, when you had Edge versus Mick Foley. And the one thing that stood out to me in this match was the flaming table. The spear through the flaming table to Edge to Mick Foley. And this match was brutal beyond means. To me, this was the match at WrestleMania 22, the best match at WrestleMania 22. And I think, overall, in my opinion, when you have Edge win the Money in the Bank ladder match the year before, you need to have him in a match where he needs to establish himself as a top contender, a future contender for the championship, and they've done a really good job here, putting him with Mick Foley. And even though, yes, you can make the argument that he should have been the championship going into WrestleMania at the time, still, this was a good booking decision on the part of WWE, putting him in the ring with a well-established hardcore legend in Mick Foley, and have him go over Mick Foley. And the way this match was done was so brutal. There were a lot of shots to the head. There were barbed wires involved. There were baseball bats with barbed wire around involved. And this was just brutal. This was hardcore. And this match was a hardcore match. Should be. And this is why that match is at number 12 on the countdown. Coming in the runner-up position, going into the top 10, at number 11, is The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, streak versus career at WrestleMania 26. And yes, even though this is not to me, this is not as good as their first WrestleMania match at WrestleMania 25, it was still a really good storytelling match. And going into this WrestleMania, I was going into the theater to watch this WrestleMania, and this was the match I was really looking forward to the most. And even though this match, like I said, didn't live up to their first match the year before, it was still really good. The story that was told was outstanding, to say the least. And the way this match ended too, you had Shawn Michaels crawl up The Undertaker, and you have him do that. It was kind of a full circle reminiscent thing where you have Shawn Michaels end the streak of Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, and now you have The Undertaker ending the career of Shawn Michaels here at WrestleMania 26. And rightfully so. I like that Shawn Michaels has kept his word and not competing in any more matches, even at this year WrestleMania. Even though I was hoping for it, I like that he kept his word. And this match ultimately was one of the highlights of WrestleMania 26. There was not a lot of matches going into WrestleMania 26 that I really remember. And this is the match ultimately that I do remember going into WrestleMania 26, and like I said, this match delivered on all levels. Coming in at number 10 is actually the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21, the first Money in the Bank ladder match. And like I said, the Money in the Bank ladder match, to me, should be at WrestleMania. Should be at every WrestleMania. I don't understand why they had to make their own pay-per-view out of it, because really, Money in the Bank pay-per-view just feels like a Money in the Bank match with other matches on the card. So, when I look at this match, the WrestleMania 21 Money in the Bank ladder match, I feel like this match is very historic in its own right, because it's a first ever type of feel. And with that being said, the right person went over. You had Edge win the Money in the Bank. I think the right person won here because you want to establish your main event, the upcoming in the future, and the right guy to do it was Edge at the time. And you had a lot of spots in this match that were just holy crap moments. You had Shelton Benjamin in this match, you had Kane, you had Chris Jericho, you had a lot of people involved. And like I said, this match, Money in the Bank ladder match, stood out as, to me, not only one of the best WrestleMania matches, but one of the best Money in the Bank WrestleMania matches. And to me, the Money in the Bank matches that followed this first match, to me, didn't live up to it, because it's a first ever. Sometimes you can't beat the first ever whatever it is. Coming in at number 9 on the countdown is Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental Championship ladder match at WrestleMania 10. And like I said, one of the first ever type of matches. And going into it, you had, who's the best Intercontinental Champion? Is it Razor Ramon? Is it Shawn Michaels? And you had Shawn Michaels go out there and compete in a ladder match, and he was wrestling with the ladder, and Razor Ramon just happened to be in there. And like I said, this played on historical significance when it comes to building up first time ever matches at WrestleMania. And this match, ladder match, set the tone for every single ladder match years to come in the WWE. Coming in at number 8 on the countdown is Shawn Michaels again versus Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 19. And this was one of those matches where you had teacher versus student going into it, and the build-up was great. You had the whole idea of Chris Jericho idolizing Shawn Michaels when he was a kid, and ultimately at the end, when we get to the match, you have Shawn Michaels go over, and at the end you have him hug, and then Jericho gives him a low blow. And to me, overall, this match was a great match when I look back and go at it. Even though I think this match actually could have went a lot longer, it was still a really good, solid way to open up WrestleMania at the time. Coming in at number 7 is a match that I'm really a fanboy of for some weird reason, and it's The Undertaker versus Triple H, Hell in a Cell, WrestleMania 28, and the whole idea of The Undertaker and Triple H staring down at each other, and you had the Hell in a Cell coming down, was a real bone-chilling moment. And you had Shawn Michaels playing his role very well as the special guest referee. And to me, this match holds one of the best near falls on any matches, where you had the sweet chin music followed by the pedigree, and I thought the match was almost over at that time. And I couldn't stress this enough how great this match was. This was brutal. Undertaker had bruises all over him. This was barbaric. This was great. Everything about it was outstanding. Coming in at number 6 is Bret Hart versus Steve Austin in the submission match at WrestleMania 13. And going into this match, you had Bret Hart playing the babyface, and you had Stone Cold Steve Austin playing the heel. And what this match did in the outcome is you had Stone Cold Steve Austin in the sharpshooter with the blood dripping down on him, and he's not giving up at all, and he ultimately passes out. And to me, this was Stone Cold Steve Austin being born into the next guy to carry the company. And they done a tremendous job here of turning Bret Hart heel at the end and Stone Cold babyface at the end. And going into the match, the roles were complete opposite. And it's rare for the WWE now to do something like that. And I think this was one of those situations where you had a big full circle moment from beginning to end. The chemistry between these two guys was completely outstanding. And that is why this match comes in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. And this was one of those matches that in the end actually made me clap, because this was a pure match wrestling clinic. Holy crap. This was a great, outstanding wrestling match, beyond question. And the build-up of this match was great, beyond question. And to me, the right person went over, because really, Kurt Angle had most to gain and to benefit into beating Shawn Michaels. And to me, with that being said, Shawn Michaels really didn't need to prove anything to anyone going into this match, as long as he stole the show, and that's what he done here with Kurt Angle. Coming in at number 4 is Chris Benoit versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 20. And it was one of those matches where you had heartbreak and triumph at the end. You had Shawn Michaels playing the third wheel to Chris Benoit, building up to the hard work being paid off here. And to have him win the Royal Rumble and being in the main event at WrestleMania, and to have Triple H in there as well. And to me, this was one of those great WrestleMania matches of all time. Probably the best triple threat WrestleMania. You can argue the best triple threat match of all time. Not just at any WrestleMania, but at any show in the WWE. And with that being said, the right person went over. It was properly placed on the card, and you had Chris Benoit win the World Heavyweight Championship. Finally, he gets that big payoff at the end, defeating Triple H, having him tap out. And I like how when Triple H is in a submission hold, he actually holds on for a few minutes before he decides to tap out, and that's the power of God. So in the end, you had Chris Benoit go over in this triumphant match that he won. And you had Eddie Guerrero in, the WWE champion, and the confetti falling, two of them raising hands in each other. And the confetti falling, and it was triumph for these two at WrestleMania 20. And looking back at it now, just let my emotions say the words to you. Coming in at number 3 on the countdown is Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12 for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And what I really did enjoy about this match was that this match lasted an hour and not a pinfall or submission even occurred. And to me, this Iron Man match sets the tone for the years to come in lots of Iron Man matches. Now, you can make the argument that there could have been a pinfall here and there, but to me, this actually built up a lot of suspense in this match, and the whole storyline build-up was absolutely great. And this was one of those matches where it was like it was going, and then it loses momentum, it goes, it loses momentum, it goes, it loses momentum. And it's tough, when you're in the ring, you want to last 60 minutes, and it's tough. You have to train really hard to pull off a 60-minute Iron Man match. And this match went overtime. And you had Shawn Michaels, Sweet Chin Music, Bret the Hitman Hart, and you have him pin him in overtime. The only fall in the match in overtime. And the whole boyhood dream has come true idea was absolutely great. Finally, Shawn Michaels gets that moment in the sun in becoming the WWE Champion and carrying the company at the time. Coming in the runner-up position at number 2 is, to me, the best opener for any WrestleMania at any year. And that's Bret Hart versus Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. This was a match going into what you had brother versus brother. It was building up for months. Who's the better brother of the two? And you had Owen Hart being jealous of Bret Hart, of having the spotlight all the time. And you have Owen Hart here ultimately go over Bret Hart, which I think was the right thing to do because of the story that was involved here. And you had Bret Hart main event this WrestleMania after that match, and to me, I cannot stress enough how great this match was. This match was a straight up wrestling clinic, another match that made me clap at the end, and ultimately, this match, I think, you can put this against any opener at any WrestleMania, and this would be a lot better than that match. And you can make the argument that Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio was another great opener, but still, it doesn't. You can take that match and kick it to the curb because this match was the best opener for any WrestleMania for any year, without question. And now the number 1 WrestleMania match of all time. And to me, how would I put WrestleMania? Number 1. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 is the best pure WrestleMania match of all time, beyond question. No titles on the line. Two guys going out there, working their best in the ring. You had JR on commentary. And near fall after near fall after near fall, tombstone after Sweet Chin Music after tombstone after Sweet Chin Music after chokeslam, last ride, diving elbow drops, everything. They've done everything in the book here with this match, and the fans were on board without question. They were soaked into this match so much that they were not reacting to the matches that came after it. And whoever the dumb idiot was that placed this match in the middle of the card instead of being in the main event. Oh, you understood the error in our ways. So let's put their second match in the main event, which I think they've done the right thing here. But with this match, it was horribly booked, but the in-ring work was beyond question the best outstanding WrestleMania matches of all time. And there you have it, my top 30, from 30 to number 1 best WrestleMania matches of all time. So my question to you is, what are your top 30 WrestleMania matches of all time? Comment below and let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button just down below this video. You can follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Twitter, and you can also like us on Facebook at the Make Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note, to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.